everyone, I'm going to talk about the November Gala reward competition, which involves going over the meta, the reward structure, and my best suggestions for this competition. This video won't feature a build showcase since the meta won't be live in-game until about an hour and a half before the competition starts. However, I will show the design I had in mind just to give you a visual idea of what to expect. The next competition will be on November 15th, 2022. The reward structure for this competition is a Gala prize for the top 1,000 placements, starting at 150 Gala, with better ranks receiving more Gala than that. The meta for points will be energy. Yeah, just plain old energy. Sounds simple, right? Well, I'm telling you right now that it's not that simple. Energy will sell for 150 in-game cash and give 5,000 points per each. So if you were to sell in batches of 100 via the use of a freight pier, that means 15,000 cash and 500,000 points for a batch of 100. Energy can be crafted from wind turbines, power plants with the use of crude oil, or nuclear power plants, and will be stored in a warehouse. This competition features other meta changes as well. Jet fuel will be the meta for cash, as it will be boosted. Jet fuel will sell for 25,000 in-game cash each instead of the standard value of 1,900. Nobody sells jet fuel in the standard game as it's not worth making, but since it will sell for 25,000 during this competition, and it will make more sense to make jet fuel for cash than other things in this competition, you'll understand why in a moment, but I do recommend you make jet fuel for cash during the middle and the end of your build. You can't rush jet fuel at the start of your build, not without several high tier NFTs at least. So I recommend you start by selling flour or wool to save up enough money to get to gasoline production, then transition into jet fuel production. Another important meta change is that the nuclear power plant will craft energy every 5 seconds instead of every 20 seconds, which means they will craft energy faster than anything else in the game, making them the most efficient way to get energy fast. Additionally, nuclear power plants will only cost 1 million in-game cash instead of 10 million in-game cash to build. You'll still need the same amount of materials to build each one, so 5 steel, 5 iron, and 5 energy per nuclear power plant. The wages will still be the same at 3,000 per minute. So to be truly competitive in this build, you're going to want to have lots of nuclear power plants in order to craft energy very quickly, but you'll also need to be crafting jet fuel in order to afford the high wages. Another thing I wanted to mention about the meta changes: most of the items that have been boosted before will be returning to their standard values. This means that eggs and pumpkins will return to their standard cash values, so I do not recommend selling eggs or pumpkins to make a lot of cash in this build, because you really won't be making a lot of cash with those items. And the first problem with this build is the fact that you will need a lot of crude oil for all the petroleum you will need to craft, which you will need for all the gasoline and jet fuel you will need to craft. Therefore, I highly recommend picking a desert biome, as it comes with the oil seep, which you will be able to use to passively supply crude oil to all the refineries making petroleum in that area. And I guarantee you that most people will be picking the desert for this very reason. If you happen to have multiple Haunted Mansion NFTs to supply you with plenty of crude oil, you may be able to get by in another biome instead. There is another problem though, and this is a huge problem with this type of build. You will be crafting so much energy that you will not be able to sell it all using express depots only. Now, I suppose you could try and still get top 1,000, but you won't get into those very competitive ranks in the top 200 if you really wanted to go there. If you make a full build with 40 or more nuclear power plants, you're going to need to be selling using a freight pier. A freight pier can sell 100 items at a time and will consume 1 gas or maybe a little more depending on the delivery time for every cell you make. The problem here is that in order to sell with a freight pier, you need to have a waterway as one of your edges, and that waterway needs to be connected to a city or have a route that'll take you to a city. A waterway is either a river or an ocean. And there needs to be a route to a city along that waterway, otherwise it will let you build the freight pier, but you won't be able to sell with it. These spots are pretty limited, especially if you also need it to be a desert biome, so don't feel bad if you can't get one. I say a desert biome is the main priority. If you don't get a waterway next to a city, you're just going to have to make multiple trade depots and sell with that. So you'll also need to make more gasoline to accommodate all the sales. And if you're wondering if you need a mountain, you do not. Just build shallow mines on an open world edge. They're not as fast as regular mines, but that's fine. If you need to craft iron faster, then just build more shallow mines. Don't make any ponds next to them, and don't provide passive water to them, as that will slow them down. If you have the Greasy Wheels NFT, apply it and it will reduce the craft time of both regular mines and shallow mines. If you happen to have a mountain edge, that's fine. You will be able to make iron faster from the regular mines. However, you will have shade casted in that side. That won't matter in the middle or end of your build, but it might matter at the start. I designed my layout idea using this website called townguide.eu, which is run by a community member named Gatsu, who's regularly on the Townstar discussion channel on the Gala Games Discord. This is a wonderful visualizer tool he's made, and I'm grateful that he has kept it updated. So this is the layout I was going to test for a no NFT nuclear energy build. It's on the desert biome, with the west side being ocean edge, which assumes a waterway that has a route to a city to sell to. It features 61 nuclear power plants, 20 refineries making petroleum, 22 refineries making jet fuel, and 1 refinery making gasoline. For storage, it has 21 warehouses and 8 fuel storages. And for delivery, it has 4 freight piers. Since the meta was not live before I recorded this video, I didn't have time to actually test this design, so I'm sure it's going to need to be optimized, as in you'll want to make sure you'll have enough money to afford all the wages, and you want to have warehouses in the most convenient spots that will allow the nuclear power plants to drop off energy fastest. So do keep in mind that more nuclear power plants isn't necessarily better. It's also good to have warehouses in very close proximity for a quicker drop off, and it'll also reduce your wages as well. I hope this design at least gives you some idea of what you can expect a competitive build to look like in this competition. I'm not going to go more in depth on this build layout, but I am going to explain to you what I would recommend you do throughout the competition. Okay, so at the start of this build, you're going to want to make money either from using wheat fields and windmills to craft and sell flour, or use sheep pens and meadows to craft and sell wool. Both are good options to start with, but I would choose wool. As soon as you can, you will want to build some wind turbines in your town, and you will want to make sure they all have green timers to produce energy quickly. They are negatively affected by shade, but also cast 2 shade. Of course, you will want to build industrial worker houses to pick up energy and warehouses to store the energy in. And you're going to want to get to gas production as quickly as possible so you don't run out of gas. Please make sure you don't use up all your gas selling energy before you get to full passive gas production, otherwise you will get stuck. For gas production, you'll also need to build a lumber mill to make lumber, either a water facility or water pumps for the water drums. The water pump method is highly preferred. 2 refineries, a few paved roads, and 2 power plants. The refineries and power plants should be close enough to the oil seep to get the 2 passive crude oil for the time being, even if it means you will have to remove them later to readjust your build. Once you are at full passive gas production, you're going to want to build more refineries and more power plants, and start having some setup to make petroleum and others making jet fuel. For every 1 refinery crafting petroleum, you need 1 refinery crafting jet fuel. And you want these refineries to have full passive energy and water drums, as well as full passive crude oil for the refineries crafting petroleum. So they'll be the ones next to the oil seeps. If you can make it so that power plants have crude oil, then you can also use them to craft energy. Focus on building up cash from jet fuel and get most of your energy from wind turbines for the time being is what I would suggest. So you're going to want to be selling jet fuel to build up cash and use that cash to build mines and a steel mill or even a couple of steel mills. You'll also want a water facility to craft water drums for the mines and the steel mills. You should already be crafting energy, so some of that may be used for the steel mills as well. But you do want to have power plants supply passive energy to the mines. You're going to want to have a lot of trees and lumberjacks, and perhaps multiple lumber mills to craft more lumber. Have all the mines crafting iron, and the steel mills crafting steel. Make sure you have enough warehouses to store the iron and the steel. You definitely don't want to drop any. At this point in the build, you're going to be waiting a while to accumulate cash and the materials you will need to craft all the nuclear power plants you will use in your build. Start building ponds, water pumps, paved roads, and the nuclear power plants over time to craft more energy. You will want to reserve an area to make sure your trees grow with green timers so you can continue to grow wood and make lumber quickly. At some point in the build, you're going to need to stock up on iron and steel and use it all later when you have enough to get rid of your mines, steel mills, and the area you are growing your trees. So you can finish building the rest of your nuclear power plants you plan on making. You might not be able to get to this point right here with this layout, but you could get as close to it as possible. I believe the top players will be making 25,000 energy per hour and 500 jet fuel per hour, but without being able to test this build, I'm really just speculating based off craft timers. And if for some reason you think you can get to top 1,000 without selling energy, you're greatly mistaken. Not even a stacked box build will get you top 1,000. You could be beaten by someone with wind turbine only build, I think. That being said, I do think some people will end up just making a wind turbine build along with a passive gas setup, of course, with a couple of power plants next to an oil seep, and make enough energy to get into the top 1,000. I could be wrong, but I think some people will pull it off. So that's all the information and suggestions I have. I will be updating the Townstar playbook after uploading this video, so you will be able to see all the updated values as well. Gatsu has also added the link to the Townstar playbook in his townguide.eu website on the other tab. So thank you for that. You can also find the link in the Townstar FAQ channel in the Gala Games Discord. And of course, I always leave the link in the description of my Townstar related videos. And a thank you to those of you who use the form in the spreadsheet to inform me of any errors. I get an email every time, so I'm quickly notified about it. I hope this video helps you, and best of luck in the competition if you decide to compete. which you should even if you didn't get the right spot. It doesn't hurt to try on this one in my opinion. And if you're still watching this far into the video, I've just reached 888 subscribers. I'm so close to that 1,000 subscriber milestone. So I'm going to initiate a surprise giveaway. Yep, I'm going to gift one lucky viewer an 888 Orb of Hope NFT to celebrate the occasion. All you have to do is leave a comment, and it has to include the word congratulations or congrats in order to be eligible. That way I actually know you watched this far. I'm going to be picking one random eligible comment and will be announcing that winner when I upload my competition build video. This is going to be my first small giveaway and a quiet one too. I hope to do more giveaways as my channel continues to grow. Consider liking the video if you enjoyed it and leave a comment on how you're feeling about this competition. If you hate this competition, I am sorry. I'm part to blame for the votes on energy and jet fuel being tied, but I think this way benefits the most people as they get what they asked for. I mean, for those of you who voted for energy, what did you expect? Well, anyways, feel free to subscribe if you haven't. I wouldn't want you to miss out on a massive milk build or something. Thank you for your support, and thank you for watching.